First up, we are excited to welcome our first pitch with Emily LaPlume, founder and CEO of Saturday Swimwear. Inspired by her outdoor lifestyle and international travels, she launched the brand in 2016 to create functional, stylish swimwear made from recycled materials through ethical, small batch production in California. Please help me welcome Emily to the stage.
Thank you. Hello. Well, you just kind of told my story right there, so I don't even know if I need to do this. Cool. Shopping for a swimsuit is a shockingly frustrating experience. I am sure most of the women in this room can attest to that. It's not because swimsuits are overly complicated garments. It's because they sit right at the intersection of comfort, confidence, and identity. And yet, the industry often tells us we either need to be professional athletes or teenagers lounging by a pool. But most of us don't live in those worlds. We're dog moms, human moms, hikers, bikers, and adventurers. We move through a lot of different versions of life, and we want apparel that actually supports that. Because when something doesn't fit right, when you're constantly adjusting, second-guessing, or feeling uncomfortable, you don't fully show up. You hesitate. You say no. My name is Emily LaPlume, and I started Saturday Swimwear because I believe women shouldn't have to compromise on what we wear or the experiences we say yes to. Back in college, I spent a year living out of a backpack while studying and traveling abroad. I was constantly on the hunt for that one swimsuit that I could hike to a waterfall in the morning, free dive in the afternoon, and still feel good enough to meet friends for a drink at the end of the day. And when I couldn't find it, I did what any rational person would do. I made one myself. With no fashion training, no industry experience, and truly just the confidence of a 20-year-old who didn't know what she didn't know, I turned to my good pal YouTube University. With the $30 sewing machine I bought off Craigslist, I started making swimsuits. At first, they were pretty bad. Then they got better. Eventually, they became something women actually wanted. I started trading swimsuits for accommodation during my travels, which meant I was getting real-time feedback from women all over the world. And what I kept hearing wasn't just about fit or style, it was about how women wanted to feel. Comfortable, supported, confident enough to participate. Without realizing it, I had started a business rooted in something much bigger than swimwear. But my time abroad also exposed me to the darker side of fashion, the waste, pollution, and poor labor conditions behind so many of the products we buy. And this fundamentally changed the way I thought about business. Because suddenly, this wasn't just about designing something functional. It became about asking a much bigger question. What kind of company do I actually want to build? In 2019, I made the decision to rebuild Saturday Swimwear around sustainability. Not because it was trendy, definitely not because it was easy, but because once you see certain things, you can't unsee them. That decision reshaped everything, from materials and trims to packaging and partnerships. For years, my sister and I were hand-making every single suit ourselves. It may sound romantic, but it was also exhausting. You know, there's this narrative in entrepreneurship that hustle is always heroic, that burnout is just a part of the process, that doing everything yourself is somehow proof of commitment. What I have learned is that scaling isn't just about growing revenue, it's about growing capacity. And eventually, we hit our limit. I was faced with one of the hardest decisions I had yet to encounter in business: outsourcing. It wasn't just the question of, can I afford to do this? Although yes, that was a very important question. But really, it was, can I do this without compromising my values? Today, I am proud to work with a female-owned production partner in Los Angeles that shares my standards for quality, ethics, and transparency. And this partnership didn't dilute the brand. It strengthened it. Because values, when treated as operational constraints rather than marketing language, actually lead to better decision-making. Producing domestically has allowed for smaller batches, tighter inventory control, and the flexibility to respond, collaborate, and adapt. It's allowed resilience, and resilience, I have learned, is the true currency of small business. Saturday Swimwear has never been a hyper-growth startup. It's been scrappy and slow and deeply intentional. I have packed orders out of my college apartment, driven thousands of miles across the US to set up events, and said yes to opportunities long before I felt ready. Last fall, I won Title IX's Pitch Fest. Thank you. This was a competition that validated not just my product, but the way I've chosen to build. That momentum led to our first REI accounts and the start of a strong relationship with an outdoor-oriented hotel chain. Throughout this journey, I have realized something important about entrepreneurship. Most businesses are not built on groundbreaking inventions. They're built on small frustrations, quiet observations, and deeply personal problems that someone decides are worth solving. Mine just happened to be swimsuits. But the real story isn't about swimwear. It's about building something that helps people show up more fully in their lives. It's about removing the small barriers that hold us back so we can say yes to the hike, yes to the cold plunge, yes to the trip, yes to the experiences we may have otherwise sat out. Because those small yeses, they add up, and they ultimately shape the lives we get to live. If you would like to say yes to Saturday, you can find me at these local retailers or at SaturdaySwimwear.com. Thank you so much.
Amazing pitch.
Thank you.
Well done. Whew. Yeah. The suits are really beautiful.
Thank you.
And so what's like the most common feedback that you receive from people who are wearing them?
I mean, I think people just often talk about the durability and the comfort. And, I often talk about them as being like the no compromise swimsuit. I'm sure every single woman in this room has that experience of, having to compromise on something, whether it's fit, whether it's function, whether it's style or how it's made. And really, my goal is to create that no compromise swimsuit.
Yeah, so you're hitting all those points. It's great.
That's the goal.
Questions for Emily? I mean, I have more questions for sure. Okay, so what is like the next big thing that you're excited about with this?
So my collection launches with Title IX in July.
That's amazing.
Yeah, I am very excited. I just got off, thank you. I just got off a 4-day whitewater rafting trip where they were shooting their late summer collection, and I managed to weasel my way into that shoot. And
yes,
I said,
you did.
I'm gonna come support you. So yeah, I spent 4 days on the Grand Ronde River with Title IX shooting some of my swimsuits. So we'll be in either their July or August catalog. But yeah, super excited about that and some other relationships in the works. But yeah.
Yeah, and so like, what does it feel like to go into REI and see your swimsuits with the beautiful tags, and they have their own rack and a little sign? Like, what does that feel like for you?
Pretty surreal. Yeah. REI felt like one of those, this is my like ultimate, like someday I will be in REI. And then I guess I'm just a little bit of a weasel because I managed to just weasel my way into a couple of the local REIs. But yeah, it feels pretty surreal. Like I said, I started this literally in my college dorm 10 years ago. That is 1/3 of my entire life, for those of you who don't know how old I am. And so, yeah, to see it out in the world and to see it in REI is a pretty awesome.
Well, I don't know about you being a weasel. I think you made something really great that people actually want. It is a real gap, and there's plenty of gaps in the market there. So I think you've just created something really smart and really beautiful, and people love it. So, of course, it makes sense that it would work. Okay, any other questions for Emily? Yes. This is a great question. Yeah. So what did the journey to sustainability look like in terms of fabrics and production and all the nitty-gritty?
Yeah, that's a great question. When I started the company, sustainability really wasn't, at the core of it. I wanted to just create a beautiful, functional product. And I actually when I graduated college, decided to close the company, I had lost a little bit of that spark, and I was like, I'm going to get back to what started it in the first place. So I backpacked around the world for a year and ultimately landed in Australia, which is where I discovered ECO regenerated nylon. And so it's basically a recycled material made with industrial waste and ghost fishing nets, and it's repurposed into new fibers. And it just like lit something inside of me. I was like, I can create a product that is filling this void for so many women, but I can also do so consciously. And so really that was like my aha moment in a lot of ways. So I managed to source that material, and really that's kind of what set the foundation. And then from there, everything else, just that became my North Star. And so truly like the trims, hang tags, hygiene liners, all of the little components that otherwise I was like, okay, how can I find these cheaply? I was like, what impact do these pieces have on this process? Consumer education also became a big part of what I prioritized, and just helping customers understand like, okay, how was this product made? Like, where does this come from in the process that is put into place to get it here? And I think we become so disconnected as consumers because it's an overconsumption mindset for most of us. And so to slow that process down and really be able to share that experience with my customers, I think it's just resonated really well, and it helps you like value something more too. So it's definitely been a journey. I'm not perfect. Swimwear is not perfect. The material is still a plastic-based product. There's a lot of innovations happening out there. Every day I'm trying to find ways to be better. So it's an ever-evolving process for sure. Thank you.
That's great. Yeah, I'm the kind of shopper that I want to buy one thing that I love so much, I use it my whole life. Mm-hmm. And I feel like the durability factor allows people to use these suits over and over and over again, which is great.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the thing about a bathing suit is once you find one you like, that's it. You're totally. Like, oh, I should buy 3 of these.
Yep.
Yeah. Ellen, I think you had a question in the back? Great question. So she's had some really fun new designs that you've developed, and you've worked with lots of different artists, and she wants to know more about that process.
Yeah. So every year I launch what is called my artist series. So I collaborate with a female identifying artist to create a custom print that is inspired by their connection with nature. My prompt is very broad, and it's really just showcase how nature influences your art. And we collaborate on, a color palette and kind of a general direction, but I give them a lot of creative freedom to just show up how they are. And so it has resulted in some stunning pieces that I get to also work with these brilliant minds, and it inspires me. And so it gives me a little bit more to be excited about and to talk about. And, I'm sure most entrepreneurs in here can resonate with the fact that it feels kind of boastful to talk about yourself and your product and your brand, but when there's somebody else's artwork on my swimsuits, I have no issue bragging about it. So.
Well, and it's just so much more fun doing something like this with someone else, as you said, and you're complimenting each other. And what's your favorite suit that you've done so far?
Oh man, that's a hard question. I love every piece. Like every artist that I've worked with has just inspired me in so many different ways. To be honest, I am really excited about next year's print.
Love it.
It's obviously not out there yet, and the development timeline is a long process. But last thing I'll note on that is the cool part about working with the artist too is it's a wearable piece of art. So you get to dive even deeper into that story about where the product comes from and who designs it. And you actually get to see the person that was like, oh, I hand drew this from flowers that I grew in my garden. And it just builds that deeper relationship and that deeper connection. I love all of the artists I've worked with and all of the prints.
I bet you do, but I think it's really brilliant actually, because the more layers that you can put, you're building customer loyalty.
Yeah.
Right, and you're building a relationship to the product. It begins to mean more and more and more for them. So it's really smart from a business standpoint.
I've had a lot of customers who get excited about that artist series drop, and it becomes kind of this collectible almost. And so every year they're like, ooh, who's she gonna work with? And so it's kind of fun for me to build that customer base too, of just people who prioritize, like, you know, that piece of art.
Yeah, and then one day you'll find it on eBay for like $2,000.
Yeah, right?
You're like, I made it. We did a good
Yep.
thing. Okay, any other questions? Yes, right here, Gary.
Is it true every day could be a Saturday?
Is it true every day could
should
be a
feel like
Saturday?
Absolutely.
Yeah, I like that
I
a
believe
lot.
that wholeheartedly, and I know the Bow folks believe that too. So
The vibe is coming through.
Yeah.
Saturday vibe is here.
Oh,
yeah. Well, even in light of like this wild storm, I'm like, I want to buy a bathing suit right now. You know, I'm like, let's get out there.
Yeah.
You know, I think that is the material we should be wearing in this. So that actually really makes sense. This is beautiful. Congratulations. Well done. And I hope you'll come back and check in with us again. Thanks,
Awesome.
Emily.
Thank you so much.